aware, Dr. Amrita Panda has adopted a girl child who's on spectrum. Amra to maximum time, yeah, of course. Why I connected with her, because me and Dr. Rudojit Sinha got a case where a girl child, around I think 15 years, but এর আগেও আমি দেখেছি অনেক মেয়েদের অ্যাকোমোডেশন পাওয়া ইজ লিটল ইম্পসিবল ব্যাপার। মানে ছেলেদের নিয়ে, যেহেতু আমাদের ফিল্ডে ছেলেরা বেশি, বাট মেয়েদের ফর সিকিউরিটি রিজন, ফর ফিয়ার অফ সেক্সুয়াল হ্যারাসমেন্ট, তো আমরা না মেয়েদের ব্যাপারে কতটা ভাবছি আই এম নট ভেরি শিওর। অ্যান্ড ইট ওয়াজ ভেরি সারপ্রাইজিং যে যতগুলো বোর্ডিং বা রেসিডেন্সিয়াল পেয়েছি, মেয়েদের ইজিলি নিতে চায় না। So I think first thing, why Didi, where most of, I'm very frank, আজকে একটা জিনিস আমি ডক্টর রুদ্রজিৎ সিনহাজি ক্লিয়ারলি বলছি যে আমরা কোনো ফ্যাক্ট লুকোবো না। হোয়াট এভার ইজ দ্য ট্রুথ, উই আর গোয়িং টু বি ভেরি ব্যাশফুল অ্যাবাউট ইট, ঠিক আছে? সো আমরা যেখানে নিজেদের বাচ্চাদের নিয়ে আগে ভাবতে ভয় পাচ্ছি, সেখানে দিদি আগ বাড়িয়ে একজন মেয়েকে চুজ করেছে হু ওয়াজ অন স্পেকট্রাম অ্যাজ হার ডটার। So why that step? What made you go for it?
Bangla na English?
Bangla, English, whatever you're comfortable, Didi. But most of us are comfortable with Bengali.
But if you could be there, you cannot understand better.
Very good morning to everyone.
Oh, sorry, it's okay. We'll be in English also.
Very good morning to everyone. It's my pleasure to be here today with such senior people like Nina ma'am, Joitali di, and so on. I'm sure all of you have been a disability নিয়ে আপনারা অনেক বছর ধরে চলছেন। আমি গত 17 বছর চলছি। আমার কাজ, আমি রিহ্যাবিলিটেশন সাইকোলজিস্ট হিসেবে। নীলাঞ্জনা জিজ্ঞেস করলেন যে কেন হঠাৎ এই কাজটা করা। তো প্রথম কথা হলো, আপনারা যে হাততালিটা দিলেন সেটা আমি আমার জন্য নয়, আমার মেয়ের জন্য নিলাম। তার কারণ এই কাজটা করার জন্য পেছনে আমাকে সবাই, মানে যারা আশেপাশে আছেন সবাই জিজ্ঞেস করেছেন যে কেন, why such a decision all of a sudden. So I have been talking to parents, I have been counseling them, guiding them, sitting on the other side of the table for 17 long years, and it felt whether I am being insensitive to them at times. Do I really know their journey? Have I lived their journey? So the answer was no, and I realized that unless I live that journey, I really cannot get to feel what exactly the parents are going through. সেই জায়গা থেকে, সেই ভাবনা থেকে টেবিলের সাইডটা চেঞ্জ করেছি। আমি কোনো চ্যারিটি করিনি। আমি আমার এই বিষয়টা নিয়ে আমি আলোচনাও খুব কম করি পাবলিক প্লেসে, কারণ আমি চাই না যে আমার এই ঘটনাটা আমার প্রফেশনাল ক্যারিয়ারের টিআরপি হোক। আমি খুব পরিষ্কার কথা বলতে চাই। আসলে একজন নিউরোটিপিক্যাল বাচ্চা অ্যাডপ্ট করার থেকে একজন স্পেশাল নিড বাচ্চা অ্যাডপ্ট এই কারণে করেছি যে আই এম মোর ফ্যামিলিয়ার and I feel more comfortable with a special need kid around. I feel more connected, and I have adopted a non-verbal girl child because I am more comfortable with silence. It has got nothing to do with a good work. It's a very selfish step that I have taken up because I personally have been through a lot in my personal life. I wanted to complete my circle of love and affection through my daughter. Her name is Disha. She is a very difficult child. It happens to be Disha. It could have been anyone else, just because I know her for last 7-8 years. So that is why it is, and that is how it is. And basically, if somebody has done a favor to me, it's her, because she made my life wonderful, though it's very turbulent, very turbulent. She's a very difficult and severe child. So, but it feels like worth living a life. So that's how it is. That's the purpose. So going ahead about having a girl child with autism, I would like to share a personal experience here and would try to make it as discreet as possible. So the thing is, as my daughter is going through a lot. I mean, 5 of her 6 biological family members are either ID or addict or having a very severe psychopathological condition. So she has got a very severe genetic predisposition. It had been very difficult. Everything in my home is broken, and to add to that, I am a solo parent. I'm the only caregiver to her, and she is my only child. So both of us are fighting a lot since last 10 months. Everything is broken at home. She was on 14 medications, and her cholesterol, triglyceride, liver function levels were going sky high. It was a life risk. So I needed a space where she can stay in the middle of nature and where she can have the management at the same time, along with the residential home management and medical care at the same time. And that was a time I found it really difficult to find a place in India, particularly for minor girls. আমাদের ওয়েস্ট বেঙ্গলে এখন যে রেসিডেন্সিয়াল হোম আছে হয়তো একমাত্র ভাবনাতে আমি অরুণাশিস বাবুর সাথেও কথা বলেছি, হয়তো একমাত্র এখানেই আমরা মেয়েদেরকে রাখতে পারবো কিছুদিন বাদে, সার্টিফিকেশনস সমস্ত যে আমাদের লিগালিটিস সেগুলো হয়ে যাবার পর। কিন্তু এক্সিস্টিং সেটআপে পশ্চিমবঙ্গ কেন পুরো ভারতবর্ষে এখনো যা সেটআপ আছে সেই সেটআপে আমি এর পরের গল্পের পার্টটায় আর যাব না, সেই সেটআপে আমাদের বাচ্চারা কতটা সেফ। আমি 2 মাস কোনো একটি হোমে আমার বাচ্চাকে রেখে রাতারাতি ট্রাভেল করে 3 ঘন্টার মধ্যে পুরো প্যাক করে, যে বাচ্চাকে আমি 4 জন মিলে ফ্লাই করাতে পারিনি নিয়ে যাওয়ার সময়, আমি একা ফ্লাই করিয়ে নিয়ে চলে এসেছি, বিকজ ইট ফেল্ট ভেরি আনসেফ। এবং এই ক্রাইসিস যেগুলো আমাদের ভারতবর্ষের খুব প্রিমিয়াম হোম তার বিভিন্ন জায়গায় রয়েছে। আমরা যারা অর্গানাইজেশন লিড করি আমরা জানি একটা অর্গানাইজেশন লিড করার অনেক চ্যালেঞ্জ, ভুল সবার হতে পারে, মিস্টেক্স ক্যান হ্যাপেন ফ্রম আ প্যারেন্ট, from a professional, from an individual. That is a valid possibility. Kintu it's not about mistake. I would like to more focus on the structure. What structure are we following? Are we having a proper structure? I know in a country, in our country, we do not have a so-called rule how to run a special needs center. But in absence of that, even internally, do we have a standard operating procedure? It was to my surprise, I realized and I found out that organizations who are in the fraternity for over 13-14 years, they do not have a simple SOP. They do not have a simple standard operating procedure. They do not have a brochure. That's really surprising to me. And they are having hundreds of students, hundreds of children as a boarder throughout the country and abroad. So this cannot be the way it should run. এইভাবে অ্যাকচুয়ালি দ্য হোল মেসেজ, আমরা আমাদের বাচ্চাদের যদি কোনো রেসিডেন্সিয়াল হোমে পাঠাই, আমরা কিন্তু আমাদের বাচ্চাদের অ্যাবান্ডন করছি না। হ্যাঁ, আমরা আমাদের বাচ্চাদের, we are not abandoning our kid and sending them to a residential home.
I have a question over here. Sorry, I interrupted, because what you said is very relevant about 2 things. One of the professionals, she's a parent who had commented this on an open forum, that when you think about a girl child, then you have hysterectomy. Is it appropriate? Do you think it's a human also? Or is this a fear we need to overcome?
So the point is, Niranjana, the first question that I would ask to the lady and to everybody who feels that way, that why a hysterectomy? Was the threat pregnancy, right? So it's not just a threat for special needs children, it's also a threat for neurotypical kids, for the adolescents, for the young adults. Do we go for a hysterectomy then?
Of course, no.
Of course not. So I think we do not own our kids. আমাদের বাচ্চারা আমাদের সম্পত্তি নয়। আমরা কি করব, আমরা আমাদের বাচ্চাদের হয়ে ডিসাইড করব। We are neither here to fix them and we neither own them. It's their life. They have a right to live and they have a right to their body. Whether they want to do it, many of them can't express. They do not understand what is hysterectomy. Right? And it cannot be just an overnight decision that I want to go for a hysterectomy because I have a girl child.
Absolutely.
Because a hysterectomy has got thousands of consequences.
Absolutely.
And it's not, I mean, whether as a parent or as an individual, do I want to add up those complications to the already existing complications that I have? Do I want to add up the hormonal imbalances with the existing challenges that I have? That's a very important and a very profound question.
So then, Didi, I think the most appropriate thing what we need to think about is to understand the prerequisites what we need to accommodate a girl child, right?
Absolutely.
This is something we need to work out. This is something, because there are other things related to it. What about her sexuality, sexual stimulations? They do have it normally, right? So how much we are prepared to answer that or address that?
So Nilanjana, I believe that why are we talking, when it comes to sexuality or pregnancy, why are we just talking about girls? Because they will be carrying a child if in case of pregnancy. But it's equally concerning and questionable for a guy. It's equally the sexual issues are equally important for a boy child, for a guy, for a person with autism or any developmental disability. Sexuality doesn't mean pregnancy. Sexuality doesn't mean unsafe practices. Whether the practices will be safe or unsafe, that's a particular area that we need to work on from very early childhood, as early as 3 years, to train them of privacy training. What is a safe touch? What is an unsafe touch? Who all are, is it okay to touch the private parts? So these are the very safe practices that we need to start at a very early age. But if it comes to sexuality, it's equally challenging for boys and girls. And pregnancy, please.
Sexuality is fine, but I'm also a child, I mean my son is also autistic, on the spectrum, not very severe but still. So what I as a special parent, I just don't know how the mothers guide the girl child during her menstruation. That is the most difficult thing, that even when I had menstruation, I really shudder. I mean, now I'm gone that stage, and I really feel so free. How do such parents guide their girl child? I mean, this is
by
the
structure.
biggest,
Madam,
the biggest threat or the biggest challenge which God has bestowed upon such mothers. I really do prarthana to them. I really pray such people who are
Thank you
doing
for
such
your
a
question.
good this thing.
Yeah.
So just
Thank you so
I don't
much.
know whether you'll be able to answer this question.
Of course,
or not.
we'll be able to answer. We
But
have an
this
answer.
That's why I think that point of hysterectomy came up. But again, hysterectomy is not really the
Absolutely.
Absolutely,
And
it should not be done.
we
It's
have to
going
finish
be-
in time,
I'm so sorry.
Vipasa.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I'll request everyone, please reserve your questions, write it down, note it down. We should not interrupt the speakers because they have time limit. Others are waiting. I hope you all understand. Okay. And to your answer, you have to teach structure. Okay, I'll explain later. Yes, Didi.
Yeah, and to answer you, ma'am, even a person from non-disability fraternity gets surprised how we deal with a special needs child.
Absolutely.
It's the same the way you feel about the parents of a girl child. So even a guy feels quite overwhelmed how a woman, and I'm talking about neurotypicals, how a woman takes care of this this whole disruption every single month. Okay, so it's always difficult. Whatever we are doing is already difficult.
Yeah.
Whether it's even more difficult, yes, it's difficult. But can we leave it aside? No, we cannot, because it's an integral part of life.
Absolutely.
So
Didi, thank you so much.
yes, thank you. Thanks to you. I hope that I was able to address some of your queries. Thank you. Thank you, Nina.
Please reserve your question. We are not going to leave her without answering our questions, but I think we have to hear others. Next will be